I'm Frank Sesno with Planet Forward, coming to you from the studios of the George Washington University in Washington, D.C., talking with University President Steven Knapp. And we're going to be talking about the upcoming Planet Forward Innovation Summit.
Right.
I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, I am too.
You're going to be there. It's going to be
Absolutely.
a great thing.
You're
going to
have a great crowd.
lead the charge.
Yes, indeed.
What is sustainability?
You know, it's a very broad concept, and from my point of view, it embraces all the practices and policies and innovations that make it possible for life to thrive on Earth and in harmony, I think, with the environment that surrounds us. But it also embraces things like policies for creating institutions that will make sure that everything we do is cognizant of the intersection of economic, biological, ecological factors as they really influence the future of human life on Earth.
You know, it's really interesting. I think some people hear the word sustainability and they think about hugging trees and holding hands and chewing on granola bars. But what we're really talking about is we're talking about on this planet hurtling toward the middle of the century where we're going to have more than 9 billion people. Sure. It's really about figuring out how we just survive, how we divide up the resources without destroying what we've got around us.
Right, and how we eat, how we have access to food, how we have access to water. You know, how that food and water are healthy enough so that they're not doing more harm than good, and how those are distributed in a way that sustains human life across a broad range of populations whose interaction we're just beginning to understand, I think.
You've made sustainability one of the big pillars at this university, located in Washington, D.C. That's got all kinds of implications. What are some of the sustainability initiatives, accomplishments at the university?
So when I first arrived at the university, which was in 2007, one of the very first things I did was launch a task force on sustainability. I think it was a very broad-based group. It involved faculty and students and staff and volunteers, alumni. And the whole point was to begin to really think systematically about what we could do internally when it came to our own practices as an institution, but also how we could have a leadership role in the academic reflection on and the whole intellectual engagement with sustainability. So it had both those sides to it from the start, and we talk about practicing what we teach. We want to make sure that we're on both sides of that equation. And so one of the things that came out of it was creation of a sustainability office that I think has really led the university in a series of innovations that have had to do with the way we capture water on the campus, the way we conserve water. We've installed solar panels for water heating. We've done a range of things. We have a Solar Energy Institute that emerged at the very end of my first year here. All that came out of the ferment, I think, that was created by that task force.
But what do you want to do? Do you want to have a zero carbon footprint? Do you want to be an energy producer yourself? Is this just a marketing thing? You know, there's a lot of talk about greenwashing. Universities can do that too.
No. In fact, we are committed to getting a handle on our own carbon emissions. And when it comes to energy and power generation, that's going to have to do, I think, a lot with systems that develop here, not just on our campus, but in the city. And one of our emphases from the start has been on urban sustainability. We are an urban campus, and we've talked about the fact that we share the aspiration of the District of Columbia to be one of the strongest centers of urban sustainability, not just in this nation, but in the world. We have a very high percentage in the city of green buildings, one of the highest, I think, that you could find anywhere in the United States. But in addition to that, as a university that has the challenge of renovating old buildings. You know, a lot of our buildings go back many decades. They were certainly not designed with current state-of-the-art sustainability principles in mind, but we're able to renovate them. In fact, we've now had 2 renovations just this semester that have both won Gold LEED status. And these are renovations of existing buildings that were no way sustainable before.
Right, and when they do Gold LEED status, we're talking about replacing HVAC systems so that they're more efficient in their heating and their cooling, about insulation and windows and doors and all kinds of things, sure. Recycled materials, all of that, right?
It's all there, yeah.
One of the things that's exciting about, for me, being at GW, being at a university, is the research that goes on here. And I know I've got colleagues in different places who are doing research and things that touch on sustainability. What are some of the big ones to you?
Well, so we did launch a Solar Energy Institute, which I think is taking a lead in thinking about the policy implications of what it means for that technology to be adaptable and in a way that's affordable and I think meets the right kinds of standards and all that. And I think we're taking a leadership role in that. So that's kind of a very well-defined operation on our campus here. But we also have a 100-acre campus in Northern Virginia where we're doing work in energy innovation. So we're working there on solar energy, but also on windmill technology. There are a lot of different aspects of this, but I have to say that as important as it is to have faculty leadership in these areas, our students are really driving a lot of the interest in these
It's
innovations.
unbelievable what they're doing.
Well, I'll give you one example. We just hosted the Clinton Global Initiative University on our campus, and the sort of winning entry in all those service projects was a bamboo bicycle that was invented by 3 of our students. And the point of that is to use a material that is sturdy but incredibly renewable, inexpensive, and light to build bicycles, which are actually some of the vehicles that are the most important in many parts of the world for just day-to-day transportation. So I think that kind of innovation, which is guided by faculty and to which our faculty is responding, in many cases the impetus really comes from students, from a whole generation of young people in this country and around the world who are committed to the ideals of sustainability in ways that we never would have imagined when I was an undergraduate.
I will buy the first bamboo bicycle.
Right. Okay.
Will you buy one?
Sure.
Can we have a race? The 2 of us will do bamboo bike races.
And one of the reasons I'll do that is we think the price can go down as low as $100. So
I'll buy one of those before I buy a Chevy Volt. I promise you that.
Yeah, as opposed to the $2,000 for the equivalent bike if it was made the conventional way.
That's a big difference.
It is a
big difference. And a big difference in the developing world, especially.
Yeah, that's
it's huge. The Clinton Global Initiative was fantastic, and the level of involvement of the students here and from around the world was amazing. One of the things that we've started here too is a sustainability minor. Yes. What's that all about?
Well, because again, the idea is not just to look at our operations, but look at ways in which we can provide intellectual leadership as the largest university in the District of Columbia, with access to policymakers and of course elected officials and all the rest here in the District of Columbia. What is the role that we're playing in making sure that the conversations we have with the many institutions that surround us, government and non-governmental institutions, are informed by really state-of-the-art education and research? And so our students, again, are passionate about this field. They pushed for this, but our faculty were also interested in developing a very university-wide interdisciplinary minor that would be available to all of our students, so that whatever they're majoring in, whether it's international affairs or pre-medical students or biomedical engineering or business, international business, they'll have the opportunity to combine that with a minor in sustainability, which will, I think, frankly, will make them quite marketable in a world in which these principles are being increasingly looked to.
Absolutely, we want that in media communications. What if we have somebody who's expert in media, who understands the science, understands the geography, understands the biology, and can really present a coherent case to the rest of the world.
And of course, Planet Forward, which is grounded in media and in our School of Media and Public Affairs, I think is actually making those interdisciplinary connections a central part of what it's all about.
I did not pay you to say that, I promise. But I do want to ask you about the Planet Forward connection here, because what we're trying to do, one of our goals of planetforward.org, is to bring innovators and experts and citizens together. And we bring students into that as well. We'd love to catalyze that kind of innovative spirit. Are we on the right track here?
Yeah, I think one of the things that impressed me from the start about Planet Forward was the way in which it wasn't just developing material in advance and presenting it to the audience, but actually engaging the audience, including students, and not just at our institution, but from around the country, in sort of shipping in their innovations to be part of the discussion and part of the program. So the way that you could have videos submitted from outside the institution, and they would be kind of factored into the program, and it would be real time and interactive. I think that's been a principle from the start, and of course it responds to the habits and the skills of this generation of students who, in fact, are really engaged in that kind of real-time communication.
Yeah, if sustainability is going to be real and something that we buy onto, it can't be from the top down, it's got to be from the bottom up. Absolutely. People have to get it and want to be part of it, and that kind of conversation is what we're trying to do. And it's one of the things we're trying to accomplish with the Innovation Summit, with the Planet Forward Innovation Summit, and there's going to be lots of material on that. We're going to be bringing together mayors and entrepreneurs and people who are involved in the science and the politics of this whole thing. What would you like to see come out of this kind of convening that we can do at this kind of university?
Well, I think for one thing, we do have a unique platform being located here in Washington, D.C., because we have ready access to leaders really across not just the governmental agencies that surround us, but also the nonprofit organizations which are throughout this city, but also students, I think, produced by all the institutions here in the District of Columbia, have a particularly strong interest in making a difference in the world. That's one of the reasons they come to Washington, D.C. to study. So it does give us, whenever we have an event on this subject, we can guarantee a full house. And in fact, we often have lines of students who aren't able to get in because we've already filled up the auditoriums in which we have these discussions. So the contribution I think that we can make is to become a trusted source of expertise for the institutions and the agencies that surround us in this area and a respected convener of these conversations, because I think they're going to know that we're not going to, if we take on one of these subjects, we're not going to try to push a particular interpretation or a particular technology. We're going to weigh the pros and cons. We're going to look at what the real obstacles are to the adapting of technologies and the adoption of technologies. We're going to look at all that, and we're going to take it into account from a broadest possible range of intellectual perspectives and engaging all levels of our university community and our neighbors, and that include, you know, the Environmental Protection Agency, the FDA, and all the rest of it.
World Bank, State Department, it's global,
pull,
right?
We can pull all that together here in this institution.
So you see a special place, a special role for universities in the sustainability issue.
Yeah, because I think, again, what universities really ought to be are trusted sources of expertise. They don't really have an axe to grind. They're not pushing a particular technology, and I think they can weigh the pros and cons of all the innovations that come before them. And of course, they can draw on innovations from a much broader range of generations and everything else that are readily available to industry out there, because we do have students who, by the way, are doing this on a volunteer basis very often. So you don't have to invest a huge amount to get these ideas generated. That's one of the things that we saw with the Clinton Global Initiative University. We have over 900 projects from 82 universities, 82 countries rather, 300 universities from around the world, all coming together, and these are all volunteer projects. None of these were really the result of a lot of capital being invested.
No, it's fabulous stuff, and it's in their interests, right? Because these students are going to live into the 2070s and beyond in some cases. I mean,
well beyond that.
And it's an amazing. It's an amazing thing. Well, I think the news out of our conversation is we're going to have a Planet Forward bamboo bike race.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Yeah, well, I'll meet you out there on the tarmac.
Okay, it's a challenge. President Steve Knapp, thanks very much.
My pleasure.
Now it's back to you, to our Planet Forward followers. We'd like your questions for our conference and our conferees. You can see all the information here on the site, who's attending, where we're going. We will incorporate your questions and your comments into the conversation throughout the day. We, of course, also want your ideas and your innovations. You can upload all of that at planetforward.org.